What's going on, guys? Shane here with my good friend Dima of Martial Club.
Thanks for having me, Shane. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, today we are talking about the insane knockout that happened yesterday at Bellator Birmingham.
Yep.
Raymond Daniels landed a, what would you even call that?
I'm glad you asked, Shane. Difficult to classify unless you're a martial arts tricker. So really quick, martial arts tricking is a relatively new sport that surfaced within the past 2 decades. I'd say it's a combination of martial arts and gymnastics. And in martial arts tricking, there's a technique called the cheat 720 hook kick. So what Raymond Daniels did yesterday was a cheat 720 hook kick feint, and then he used that to set up for the knockout punch.
Awesome, cool. So Dima's going to teach us how to do that, and then we're going to talk about some concepts so that you can use it in your sparring and in competition. Let's take a look.
Okay guys, so like I said earlier, this is a tricking technique called the cheat 720 hook kick. Now, why is it called cheat 720? Cheat is the name of the takeoff. It uses a cheat step in order to get you into the air. That's not important. What is important is the 720 aspect. So this move has the appearance of spinning 720 degrees, which is 2 spins, and that's what your opponent's going to perceive. So, in order to do the move, you want to progress past a couple of basic requisites. The first one is going to be your turning hook kick or your wheel kick, spinning hook kick. And you want to progress from the spinning hook kick to what's called a turning round kick, or as trickers like to call it, a tornado kick. Last, you want to hyper that and turn it into a cheat 720 hook kick. So, sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. I'll walk you through each one. So if you guys saw the fight yesterday, Raymond Daniels fought the fight in southpaw, which in tricking is actually the conventional direction. So most people who do tricking throw the cheat 720 from this stance. So, first technique is the spinning hook kick. When you do this technique, it's easier to start with your right foot as the lead foot, fighting stance. You're going to pivot that right foot so that your heel is facing the opponent. You're going to spot very quickly over your left shoulder so that you can see where your opponent is. Chamber the hook kick and project the heel straight across the target. Return to fighting stance to regain balance. Spinning hook kicks in and of themselves are not a very basic technique, so you want to spend a lot of time drilling this one. But the next progression is what we call the turning roundhouse kick or the tornado kick. From fighting stance, right foot as your lead foot, same technique. Pivot your heel, look over your left shoulder so you spot your opponent. You're going to raise that chamber for the hook kick, but instead of throwing the hook kick, you're going to switch your hips over by jumping off your right foot and projecting the right roundhouse kick. And then the next step, you want to hyper that. What does that mean? In tricking, hyper means if you jump off with the right leg and kick with the right leg, you also want to be able to land with the right leg. So, I'll show you what I mean. Pivoting my foot, looking over my left shoulder, spotting with that left knee, and then I want to jump my right leg, or my right knee rather, over my left knee. Okay? So to do that in full motion, looks something like this. Okay?
I'm just going to watch at this point.
Okay, sure. So that's the technique itself, but the reason why Raymond Daniels was able to use it effectively is because he used that technique to feint a more threatening hook kick. That's called the cheat 720 hook kick in tricking. So really quick, this is what the technique looks like. I'm going to pivot my heel towards the opponent, spot over my left shoulder, chamber with that left knee, jump over with my right leg, and throw the hook kick, ideally while I'm still in the air. So to put that all together. Let me do that one more time.
That was a bad one?
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, let me try one. I gotta try.
Sure.
Here, yeah. Here,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Right. That was it. There you have it. Those are the components of the move. Not so bad once you break it down into little pieces, but if you're having trouble with this move, remember that it all depends on how well you stitch the pieces together, how quickly and how seamlessly you're able to transition from one part of the move to the next. Make sure that when you pivot your heel, you're looking over your shoulder almost instantly, because the time that you take your eyes off your opponent could be the difference between whether you win or lose this fight.
Yeah.
So, simple technique, simple components, but a complex technique. Make sure you practice a lot, make sure you rep it out a lot, make sure you sharpen up those basics.
Guys, as Dima mentioned in the beginning, it's rare to see this in MMA, but
Absolutely.
we're starting to see more of it with guys like Raymond Daniels, Sage
Exactly.
Northcutt. even
Stephen
Wonderboy.
Thompson, yeah.
Stephen Thompson are using a lot of these spin techniques because the feint, when you see someone jump up and spin, you know that there's a lot of momentum behind that
Yes.
kick. And if you get caught with a heel, I mean, even if you block it, it's going to do a lot of damage, right?
Exactly.
So oftentimes when you see someone jump and spin, I don't know if you've ever seen this in sparring, your first reaction is either to cover up or to retreat and back out. So if you notice what Raymond did is he got his opponent against the ropes, against the cage, so he had nowhere to back up. And he did cower up, but when he saw the second pump, his hand went up to block the heel, and then he realized it wasn't an actual kick, and that's when he relaxed. He went to counter with the left hook. Raymond's punch was just a little sharper, a little more direct, and that's what came through. So just talking real quick about that, like if I were to get Dima up against the cage, backing him up, my chance of landing it in the center of the cage is much lower than if he has nowhere to back up. So I'm not actually going to do this technique, but from that southpaw stance, right, it was here, and when you see this, it's that cover up and backing up, but he has nowhere to go. So from here, that follow through spin, he threw a left hook, and it was just a little bit tighter, a little bit sharper, and the momentum of the actual spin itself, I mean, it's his body, it's his entire body weight. And Raymond's a big guy too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him in person, but huge guy. So when you have all of that body weight, all of that spin, all of that momentum concentrated into the fist or the heel, or you can even throw an elbow from this position too, ton of damage as we saw. This was an instant knockout. So practice it, rep it out, but like we said before, master the basics first.
Just a quick note, in tricking, a lot of the technique is built upon comboing. So what that means is we execute one technique and we use the momentum generated by that technique to follow up into the next. So this concept made it into the fight. Raymond Daniels did a cheat 720 feint and used the momentum of the 720 to set up for the hook punch. There you have it, guys. That's the cheat 720 kick. When you break it down, it's not as difficult as it seems, but please keep in mind that it's a progression from more conventional martial arts technique. You want to have a strong spinning hook kick, you want to have a strong turning round kick, or a tornado kick as we call it, and there you have it. The cheat 720 kick is just 1 or 2 steps away from that, but just keep in mind that this is more of a fancy move. So use it sparingly, use it wisely.
Yeah, I just want to echo that real quick and say, master the basics, guys. I know this looks awesome, and if you land it, you will get that highlight reel knockout for sure. But you want to get good at your jabs, your crosses, your basic kicks before you start spinning all over the place, like Raymond Daniels, who's been in the game for such a long time.
Exactly.
Right? All right, guys, be sure to follow Dima. Links in the description below for Martial Club and for his Instagram. You guys are going to love their content. Super cool stuff. And then subscribe to get the fight tips before your opponent does. Until then, I'm Shane.
Dima from Martial Club.
Fight tips for the underdogs.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.